Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So I'm going to go over what caught my eye from Saturday, look at some of those that I've previously highlighted and how they got on, um, and I think there's a few that we need to add to our eye catchers and our nagmies with the future in mind. First horse I want to talk about is a horse called Riders on the Storm. Now, I thought he would run a really big race in the Ryanair a couple of years ago. And it all kind of went wrong. Last season was terrible. Ended up pulling up at Ascot in February and had been off for 9 months from then. Now, his effort today was much better. Back into a handicap. He'd obviously dropped in the weights. I thought he ran a really good race on his return. The winner had won the race last year, also had a fitness run, Clan Legend. And I thought Riders on the Storm went like the winner for a long way and just got tired right at the very finish. Now, on the soft ground, carrying all that weight, would have definitely just got on top of Riders on the Storm late on. And I'm hoping that the handicapper leaves him alone, doesn't put him back up. If he leaves him alone, there's definitely a handicap to be won with Riders on the Storm before returning to graded company. I thought that was a really, really good run. If I was the owner of the horse, I'm not. Carl Henchy is, and Mark Scott, I think, also owns Riders on the Storm. They should be really, really pleased with that as a return. And I think he'll take all the beating next time in a handicap. Even if he goes up £2 or £3, I think he can go really close with that fitness run under his belt. And that's just my other screens have gone off while the light has disappeared. Let's bring it back. So, Riders on the Storm going forward in a handicap. Next horse I want to talk about is a horse called Constitution Hill. And I don't often talk about winners. You know I don't talk about winners in my videos very often. But I tell you what, this horse, I think, is the real deal. I really do. I was more impressed with Constitution Hill here than I was with John Bon at Newbury. And Constitution Hill, you can get about 8-1 for the Supreme Novice. I honestly think he'll go off a shorter price than John Bon. That's a shout. If the Irish aren't that good, I think they are going to be good. But I really believe that Nicky Henderson could have an Altior Bouvier situation here. A couple of years ago, or a few years ago now, he had Altior and Bouvier both running as a Supreme Novice. I think they finished first and third. I think he could have this again here. I really think Constitution Hill is that good. At 8-1, I'm not the biggest fan of John Bon, but he could go well. One of Kilcruit or Sir Gerhard is likely to turn up. I don't think both will. Obviously, we're already on My Mate Muzzy for the Supreme Novice. I'm very tempted to advise Constitution Hill for the Supreme Novice at 8-1. Surely he comes back for the Tolworth Hurdle. I expect him to win the Tolworth Hurdle. I think what he beat today in Might Eye and Outlaw Peter were really good horses. Look at these R figures. There is nothing wrong with these R figures at all. And he put distance between them. Yeah, both Might Eye and Constitution Hill drew alongside Outlaw Peter at the second last, and it looked like it was going to be a three-way race. At the last, it looked like it was going to be a two-way race between Might Eye and Constitution Hill. At the finish, Might Eye is not even in the picture. He's pulled that far clear of him. He was really, really impressive. And I think that's the most impressive novice hurdle I've seen this season. Moving on to a horse that didn't win, and what we normally talk about, Mars Harper has finished 5th at Navan after finishing 5th at Punchestown. And again, I don't think Mars Harper's staying the trip. I really don't. I don't think Mars Harper is getting the 3-mile trip. So with that in mind, I'm going to say he led 2 out and then just faded at the finish late on again. And as you can see here, when he was 5th at Punchestown, he traded 93.39% lower in the run. He often trades low. He's a really good traveller. But he's not getting. I don't believe he's getting home over the 3 mile trip. I really hope that they've got the Coral Cup in mind for him. I think he should get in already. And he's running races that really demonstrate to me that he wants 2 mile 5, 2 mile 6 at the max. This 3 mile trip is just testing him. It's just proving to beyond him at this stage of his career. Drop him back for the Coral Cup, and I think Miles Harper can go really well in that. And I'm hoping that's what they're aiming at, and they're aware that he doesn't quite get home. Second horse that I want to talk about also came from the same race, and we've highlighted all 3 of these before. Dallas Depicton obviously finished second at Punchestown. Today he's finished 6th after going off 40-1, which I thought was a mental price considering how well he ran at Punchestown. Now, they've given him a completely different ride. They've gone from the front. And they've set it up. And interestingly, Commander of Fleet, also from the Gigginstown ownership and trained by Gordon Elliott, has gone and won the race. I think that was the plan. The plan wasn't for Dallas Depicton. If Dallas Depicton drops a pound or 2 there, I think he's got an absolutely brilliant chance in the Pertemps final. And he's one that I'm hoping that they've aimed at the Pertemps final. They got him qualified after finishing 2nd in November. Here. And now, hopefully, they're working back from the Pertemps final. They've given him a different type of ride. Interestingly, it's similar to Mrs. Milner last year. Mrs. Milner had had qualified for the race, and then they tried going forward with Mrs. Milner. Didn't work. Faded at the finish. And then eventually, come Cheltenham, got the correct ride where they held up a little bit or sat in mid-division and then finished strongly. I think that's what they can do with Dallas Depicton, and I really like him for the Pertemps final. The final horse from that race that I think after today they'll change their mind. Having finished 6th at Punchestown, they qualified for the Pertemps final with Volcano. It didn't look like he was good enough today. I thought he had plenty of time to get there. Nothing really. He didn't finish. He didn't stay on. And I just wonder whether they'll go, do you know what? Let's not go for the Pertemps final, which is normally for me super competitive and has lots of plots. I think they might drop back to 2 mile 5 for the Martin Pipe. Obviously, they had the Bosses Oscar, the owners did, the Morans, in the Martin Pipe a few years ago. Ran a great race, finished 5th, was a bit unlucky, stayed on strongly. Now, they'll know that Volcano will be of a similar... he'll run a similar race in that he should stay on strongly, having been tried over 3 mile. I don't think he's quite getting the 3 mile, and I'm hoping that they'll drop him back in trip. You can see back here, he was going well over 2 mile 4. He finished 2nd at Navan, and he won at Fairyhouse over 2 mile 4. So I'm hoping that that's what the plan is. They're just building up a bit of stamina in the meantime with Volcano. The next horse that caught my eye today was Domaine de Lille in the Beecher Chase. Finished 4th, never sighted, never got involved. Obviously, he's dropped a bit in the handicap after his effort in October. I think he'll go back to Cheltenham, and I'm hoping that they've got the Kim Muir in mind. After finishing 4th, but being beaten quite a long way, I expect him to drop a couple of pounds. Now, he's currently rated 147. If he drops £2, he can get in the Kim Muir. And I think that's really interesting. We know he does act at Cheltenham. He has won here before. He won in April, beating Kustar Sivela, who obviously had Cheltenham form. So I'm hoping that that's what their plan is. You can ignore this run when he pulled up. That was his first time back this season. If we go on his previous couple of efforts, or particularly his Cheltenham effort, I'm hoping that they're aiming him at the Kim Muir. The idea would be that he needs to drop a couple of pounds to get in. It's a 0 to 145. He's rated 147, but I thought he was beaten so comfortably today. It was a long way back to 4th that he will drop those required £2 and they can target the Kim Muir. Yeah, I want to give this horse another chance. Baliandi finished 5th today, over 2.5 mile on soft going. Could have even been riding heavy at Aintree. Now, if it'd been soft going over 2 mile, I'd I don't really think we could have given him much of an excuse. But it wasn't. It was 2.5 on soft stroke heavy at Aintree. So it would have been nearly 3 mile. And I just think that's beyond him. I think he wants 2.5, not 3. Or soft over 2 mile, or good ground over 2.5. I think he wants 2.5 mile sort of distance. And although he's finished 5th, he's not actually run that badly. If we just look at the race itself, he finished 5th behind top rated RTR2, last year's winner, and Elvis Mail, who'd been tried in graded races. That's not a bad run. Ballyandy drops another couple of pound, and turns up over 2 mile on soft ground, or maybe 2.5 mile on a bit better going. I want to give him another chance. He stayed on quite strongly. Yeah, I don't think it's beyond him. I don't think a win is beyond him. And if they keep pricing him up, they priced this one up at 25s first time yesterday evening. He eventually went off 11 to 1. If we can get 25 to 1 about him for the next 4 or 5 runs, I'd kind of be interested in him if there's a reason. And I thought this race he's just bumped into the unexposed types. A horse who's been aimed at this race in Cateson, and Elvis Mail, who has dropped from graded company into this sort of handicap. So I'm not going to give up on Ballyandy just yet. And the final horse that I also don't want to give up on is Benson. Benson finished 4th. Just double checking, did he finish 4th or 5th? You know what? I can't remember. I think he finished 4th. And I don't want to give up on him, because over this trip, he would have wanted the Aintree going. He would have wanted the soft heavy going, which he didn't get over 2 mile. I think he wants 2.5, but on good ground after a run. Now, they dropped him back in trip. I understand why they dropped him back in trip. He'd won this race before. You would normally expect a little bit softer conditions at Sandown, but I don't think they got the right conditions. And yet, despite being pushed along for most of the race, he's run on strongly again, once again suggesting that a step up in trip is needed. The Lanzarote hurdle is something that springs to mind at Kempton. There's 2 mile 5 at Kempton, which kind of makes it for me 2 mile 2-ish, which is almost in the middle of what maybe he wants. They think he wants 2 mile. They've tried him over 2 mile. They've tried him over 2.5. Well, let's see, like 2.5 at Kempton, so an easy 2.5, and maybe that will really bring out the best of Benson. He's definitely not reached his peak. He wants soft going, and I'm not going to give up on Benson either. So there's a few horses from this week. Riders on the Storm next time out in a handicap, if he doesn't go up too much. Constitution Hill, I really think that was a very smart performance. Mars Harper dropped back in trip for the Coral Cup. Dallas Depicton, I think they're being clever and aiming him at the Pertemps final. Obviously, we know he runs well at Cheltenham. He's finished 2nd and 5th at Cheltenham Festivals. Volcano needs to drop back in trip for me. The Martin Pipes, slightly easier race, and the Morans can win this instead of finishing 5th like they did with the Boss's Oscar. Domaine de Lille, I'm hoping he drops a couple of pound, can then run in the Kim Muir at the Cheltenham Festival. Ballyandy, don't give up on him. As soon as he gets 2 mile soft going or 2.5 mile good going, that's when I'll be really keen on him. I think he's bumped into, the right type of horses have beaten him here. And Benson, similarly, he wants 2 mile, very soft going, or 2.5 mile, which I think he'll step back up to. The Lanzarote could well be his target at Kempton.